You're listening to the Vox Media Podcast Network.
This is What the Heck with Mike Heck on MMAfighting.com. Now, here is your host, Mike Heck.
What the heck?
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of What the Heck on MMAfighting.com, the MMA Fighting YouTube page, and wherever it is you find your favorite podcast. My name is Mike Heck. Hope you're having a great week. Hope that you're staying home, but at least staying active and trying to make the best of this crazy situation. We got a fantastic lineup of guests for the show this week, but the MMA wheel just continues to turn, doesn't it? Like a lot of news has come out over the last several days. We got the PFL. They have canceled or postponed their 2020 season. They reportedly released about a third of their roster on top of that, but they're going to be paying a stipend to the remaining fighters on the roster, and I certainly understand their decision to do that. I was a little surprised it did so early, but if you really take a look at the roster from top to bottom, there's a lot of international fighters, so being able to pull off a season, especially under this format, would have been very difficult to do. Bellator, they have postponed Bellator 244, which is supposed to go down on June 6th in Chicago. That was supposed to be headlined by the rematch between Michael Chandler and Benson Henderson. So that fight, that card is going to be pushed to another date. But Bellator is, however, looking to kickstart things back up June, maybe July, sometime in the summer, and host events from a Hollywood soundstage. It's kind of like the old days of studio professional wrestling, perhaps, like WCW Saturday Night back in the day for us elder statesmen that grew up during that time. Maybe they can have the cage on one of those circular things that spins around between fights. But that'll be pretty interesting to see once that comes out. And of course, with the UFC, May 9th is very much a thing. We found out earlier this week it's going to be called UFC 249. And as I reported on Tuesday, multiple sources confirmed to me and other members of the site that the event will take place somewhere in the state of Florida. I want to give a shout out to Esther Lynn for creating maybe the greatest fight graphic of all time when it came to that event. You can check it out on our Instagram page. But, you know, from what we gathered, the fighters, the teams, they're scheduled to fly into Jacksonville, Florida to get ready for fight week, although the actual physical location has not been revealed at this time. We don't know what the hell is going to happen, but we're going to keep you posting on all of that. But of course, UFC 249 2.0 will be headlined by Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight title, Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz for the bantamweight title. And how about Tony Ferguson successfully weighing in this past Friday at 155 on the nose? There is only one El Cucuy, and we're going to be talking about that, the event itself, and a whole lot more this week on What the Heck. So let's run down the lineup, let you know how this is all going down this week. Later on in the show, we're going to chat with Frankie Edgar, the former UFC lightweight champion, who a little more than 10 years ago captured that title by defeating BJ Penn at UFC 112 in Abu Dhabi. We're going to talk to the answer all about that, what he's been up to during these quarantine times, his plans to move to 135, and much more. UFC reporter Laura Sanko is going to return to the show to talk about all the changes that have happened in the UFC over the last couple of weeks. She was actually supposed to come on last week, and there's a bit of a story there. Plus, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of other things. We're also going to talk to Gilbert Durinho Burns. This guy has been trying to get a fight since he defeated Damian Maia, finished him in the first round at UFC Brasilia, and as of now, he hasn't been able to find that fight, so we're going to check in with the reigning Twitter champion, Gilbert Burns, later on in the show. Dominic Reyes is going to join us a couple of months removed from that awesome fight with John Jones at UFC 247 in February. As you all know by now, John Jones got the decision, is still the champion, but it's one of those controversial decisions that we're still talking about. But we're going to check in with the Devastator in around 25 minutes or so. But first, we're going to check in with Alexander Hernandez, who is supposed to fight on both iterations of the April 18th version of UFC 249. First, it was going to be Islam Makhachev in Brooklyn. Then undefeated Omar Morales was going to be his opponent at Tachi Palace before the event was just off the table for April 18th altogether. His name, as you may have noticed, was not on the fight card for May 9th. And we're going to get the answer as to why and much more right now with Alex Hernandez on What the Heck. All right, we move ahead to our next guest, a very relaxed next guest, as you can see right now, the top 15 lightweight in the world. It's a little strange because had things gone on the way they were scheduled to, we'd be talking about what happened at UFC 249. It's been a bit of a wild road for us all, but definitely for this man, Alex Hernandez. Alex, how are you? This is like the debut of Massage Table Chronicles.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting a massage right now. I'm on the table, so we're getting a real intimate look today, but yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm chilling. I just got back on the I guess I was already on the horse, but I kind of relaxed, reset last week a little bit, let my body cool off because just the toll it takes on your body getting ready for camp and lining up for that week. So I just did some things outdoors and started hitting it really hard at the latter end of last week and getting into this week. So got my dude here. He's yeah, there's his ass. Yeah, so he's he's working on the legs, and we're getting back to it, man. Get back to work today.
Well, you seem in a really good place mentally right now, probably mostly because of the massage right now. But how have you handled the sort of on again, off again happenings with UFC 249 and April 18th and all that stuff?
Yeah, man, that was a roller coaster ride. Like I said, fighting itself takes such a toll on you. You get the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the physical toll, the emotional toll. And so, let me switch sides here. My bad, dude. So the whole, it's so ridiculous. So the whole fucking thing was, it was mayhem. And it was like, my own head coach fell out at one point. He got sick. I thought I caught some shit at some point where I was just having to fight through it and just train. But every time I'd start revving up, I'd get like insanely nauseous and really hot. And so, getting tested is difficult. So I didn't really worry about that shit. But I just, it seemed like we were all kind of dropping at one point. But again, my employer and my opponents weren't really pandering the fear or adhering to really any of the laws or any of the like a pandemic was going on at all. So we just had to kind of get on this mountain of optimism, and kind of keep that perspective with the UFC and just push through, not be a bitch. And that's what I did. And I got a fuckload better in the last, 2 months. I've been in camp mode since January 1st, it seems. So I've been going hard for a long time now, and I've radically improved. And I kind of justified or sort of confirmed that to myself just in these last few days, taking off, resetting, and not worrying about an opponent so much or an event, and just coming in, having some fun with the guys in the gym. Everybody's really eager just to get in here. So I kind of opened the doors a little bit and just ran through everybody. Just all these poor bastards that we call teammates just got humbled. So that felt good. It felt good to take the blinders off, have some fun, and just fuck people up. So I am in a pretty good space right now. I've got a good workplace before me right now, and I've got a bunch of eager guys that are ready to get back in the gym. So yeah, I've already kind of got over the whole idea, and I'm just looking forward to the next thing now.
The last time we spoke, you were actually in the Middle East for that Fighters for Freedom tour, and you were talking about, viewing things in a different light through that experience, what the soldiers deal with overseas, things you may have taken for granted. But I think the most important thing to you was being able to form your own opinions about a lot of these different global topics and not going along with the perceptions of others. Looking back, how much has that experience helped you when it comes to the coronavirus and what's going on in the world right now?
Oh, so much. And my whole thing, and it's kind of like a philosophy that transcends everything, is that stagnation's death. Like movement's life. You need it. And so for me, my biggest thing was I'm just not going to pander to these fears and this insanity that people are running with. I'm just going to keep living my life the exact same. That's exactly what I did. I trained the same. I operate the same in pretty much every capacity that I ran. The only thing was going to the grocery store, felt like apocalyptic now or whatever, it was like the fucking world was about to burn down. But other than that, I just stayed in my bubble. I was home gym, kept my training partners. fortunately, it seems like Brazilians just don't give a fuck. So I had all the crew there, you know, and we were getting things done pretty much the exact same, and it was good. I didn't, you know, indulge the fears. I just kept moving. I kept working, and when I got sick, I just kept working, and I fucking ate that shit up, dude. COVID's probably trying to deal with me right now, figure out like the antibodies to conquer my shit. I probably fucked it up. So I'm just not worried about it. And the more that, you know, information comes out with the ratios, death ratios, and people start kind of realizing that, oh, we've been categorizing everything into this like COVID umbrella, you know, the more I hope people can kind of be like, okay, this isn't maybe everything is cracked up to be. It's not the end of the world. It's not something to like really even hide from, you know, just take care of yourself. Like anything else, health's found within, you know? And so I think we just need to operate as so to ourselves, take care of ourselves, be our best versions of ourselves before we go, I don't know, pointing the fingers, creating fucking conspiracies or whatever the fuck else. Like, you just take care of yourself and then just get back on track in life. And so I think that helps. I mean, what that has to do with the Middle East thing, I think just being level-headed, you know, just maintaining a level mind.
You mentioned that you were sick, your coach was sick. Do you think, I don't know if he got tested, you mentioned things about the testing, you didn't really get into it too much. Do you think you had it at all, or do you think you just coming down with something?
My head coach did have it. And I mean, I was breathing that dude's air, so I mean, maybe.
You probably did have it.
Yeah, maybe. But I just fucked it up, dude. I was just not worried about it. Yeah, I had to get ready for a fight. That's what I was going to do. I said that's what I was going to do, and that's what I did. And I'm in the best shape of my life. So I'm ready to I'm ready to take on whatever challenge. I'm ready to fight any opponent that's available here in the States. I'm ready for whatever. And I guess, you know, you're talking about, I guess maybe just perspectives and things like that with that trip, or just any other trip I've been on, or just life. One thing that I was able to do was have understanding and sympathy for the Russians and leaving prematurely. I mean, it felt like they left prematurely, but maybe they didn't, you know. Those flight bans were coming up. The likelihood of the fight was slim, you know, dim outlook for sure. And then it ended up not happening anyways. And so for them to have to go back to their country and get back to their, you know, their homes, their families, I can understand that. And so for me, it wasn't something that I like dwelled over. It wasn't something I like sulked on. I just got back to it, and yeah, flip. Yeah, thanks for dealing with me, dude. But
the greatest interview of all time.
I was just ready for the next thing. So that's what we did.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting because, you know, the Makhachev fight was the one that was lined up. And then once we figured out he was off the card, Omar Morales was slated to be your new opponent. I mean, he's undefeated. He's had a great win on the Contender Series, got a win in the UFC. No disrespect to Omar, but to go from a top 15 guy to, you know, a surging prospect like Omar, were you happy with that matchup? Because I was a little surprised to see that name, if we're being honest here.
Well, and that goes back to the roller coaster ride, man. And I just had to this camp, I was able to take complete domain over my mind and kind of get back to this cavalier state of not giving a fuck at all. I was training and prepared to fight like a man who had nothing to lose. I wasn't worried about shit. And so, you know, is the fight on? Is the fight off? Okay, now my opponent's out of the country. He's for sure out. Okay, now I don't have a location. Now I don't have an opponent. That goes by for a whole week, trying not to check out. Then, okay, now we got a list of names. I thought Michael Johnson was going to be the name. And then the next day, it was like, you know, now there's this Omar Morales guy. You got 10 minutes. Do you want him or not? Okay, well, what happened to the other ones? Now those other guys are off the table now. Do you want this guy or not? Well, I mean, fuck yeah, I want to fight. So just give me the guy. I don't care who it is. Just give me the guy. Okay, this is the guy. So then we got the guy. Michael Johnson got a guy. Everybody got a guy. They lined up the card, you know, and then 1 week before it fell out. But it was just, you just had to be malleable and roll with the punches, you know, mold to whatever, you know, everything else threw at you, because all I could do is just control my own shit. And sometimes that's not even really picking your opponent. It's just who do you got, who's available, and who do they want you to fight. And it seemed like that's who they wanted me to fight. So that's what I was going to do. By the same token, though, I've never had an opponent that wasn't top 15. Every guy I've fought since I've entered the UFC, and I didn't come off of, you know, another giant organization. I just came out of fucking LFA, you know, with a humble record of under 10 fights. Everybody that I fought at the time of signing was a top 15 ranked opponent. Even if they weren't by the time we actually got to the card when we were negotiating, they were. And so fighting someone like Morales would have been someone that I naturally would have fought on my way up and would have had the opportunity to kind of, I don't know, display something different. And also just for the sake of separation of degrees, showing people that I do belong in the top 15, because people doubt whatever, just because of how I've kind of like risen in there and how I just jumped in. Like, I wouldn't have mind putting on display of, here's the difference between me and them. And then here's why I am where I'm at. Is it the ranked opponent that the caliber I would want to know? But it would have been a guy who's trying to take my head off, who's hungrier than hell, and an underdog. And I always respect an underdog. I did more against a higher ranked opponent in less time. So he was certainly, not being overlooked.
Was there a part of you that was like, you're having this not giving an F mentality towards the fight and who they present to you at this point. Was there a part of you that's like, it doesn't matter who the name is, I'm going to put pen to paper because this thing's probably not going to happen anyways?
Yeah, well, and so that was a shit part, because you couldn't say it wasn't going to happen. As much as like that big part of your brain, I guess called logic, was like, dude, there's no way this thing happens. You had to keep your heart held high and keep training as if it were, because, I mean, the last thing you want, is to be checked out when it's time to check in. So, I was just prepared for anyone, and I just had to keep the belief that it was going to take place. I think the whole process was a little frustrating, because it was like, man, maybe at a certain point you don't keep pushing, because you're really dragging us, through the mud with you. But it just was what it was. It was an experience, man. It was a grower. It was a growth metric for sure. And it doesn't kill you, it does make you stronger. And we became a better team through all this. So I'm not mad at it.
So we saw the May 9th card sort of get put out there. Yeah. Your name was not on it. So were you offered a fight for that event? And were you? I'd seen something that you weren't interested in fighting on that card. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't want to fight on that card, because again, I don't want to be strung out by the time I get to a fight. I've already been preparing. I revved up for a specific date. The date fell out, and so I don't want to get strung into this May 9th debacle if it falls out too. I want to see that happen. I was on the front lines before. Okay, I want to see somebody else do it now. I want to see that May 9th card come to fruition. And then if it does, they're looking at doing the 16th and the 23rd. So put me on one of those cards. Put me on that 23rd card. After we just know that it's a possibility to have fights. Because the last thing I want is to get to May 9th and not happen, and then you get strung out to the next month, and your body's just taking a fucking toll. Your mind's taking a toll, and again, you get literally like a strung out sensation. Like, dude, I'm worn. I'm broken. I'd rather be under than overtrained.
So you were pretty much just done with the roller coaster ride of it all. Let's just make sure a fight card actually takes place. And then, if it's 6 days notice, a week and a half's notice, you're in.
Yeah. I'm prepared. I'll get back. I just don't want to keep just getting dragged. I don't want to keep getting dragged to uncertainty. I just want some clarity. So I was down before. I don't want to keep doing it. So let's see this May 9th card happen, and then we'll see what's up.
I know the UFC put together these conference calls for you guys on Friday and on Monday, and to sort of give you guys all an update on everything. And most of those topics were leaked out, as you've probably seen at this point. But do you feel better about things, or maybe have a clearer sense of what the plan is between your employer and what you guys are sort of heading into after attending that call?
They talk about paychecks. That's what I'm curious about.
Well, that too. Yeah. Well, that was another question I was going to have.
I'm curious about a paycheck. That's really the only thing that's kind of on my mind too. Is, I spent a lot of money in preparation for it, especially because we got all the way up to the week of, and so, or the week right before, and so it's costly. It costs personally on your body, and then of course paying your coaches, and then convincing and coercing those guys to put on during a pandemic, might be a little extra. So. That's the only thing I'm really curious about. Everything else is still, to me, is as gray as it was, when the fight got canceled. So I don't really think that we've done a good job of bringing any new clarity. But also, it's just kind of the world we're in right now. It doesn't have a lot of clarity.
Do you expect at this point to get some sort of compensation for this past Saturday's fight at all? Like, just based on what you've heard or conversations you've had?
Yes, and it was. I mean, it was declared. So I do expect him to come through on that.
Okay. you gotta pay for those massages, man.
Gotta pay. Dude, these massages are not cheap. I'll tell you that.
Opponent wise, doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, if it can't be Makhachev, like what makes sense to you? Is it Morales? Anybody? It doesn't really matter at this point. Let's not give the Fs like you were talking about. Let's just fight.
No, exactly. At this point, it's just like who's on soil and who's prepared, and that's literally the only credentials we can really run by. I need action. Victories will, further propel my career and just W's in the UFC. Again, I didn't get this like long road up. I didn't get to like tailor make anything or really create this like long little highlight reel off of nobody. So I was just prepared to do that on somebody's. But pandemic strikes and we need somebody to get knocked out, dude. I'll knock that guy out, whoever it is. I will indiscriminately do that.
I wanted to ask you about this because you've brought up some interesting things about the mental and the physical that fight camps take a toll on. And I've had conversations in the past about this. Like most things, this is something that probably gets easier with time. But how do you handle like the post-fight emotional swings? I'm not talking about like wins and losses. I'm talking more about, you put in all this work, you have a date, you have an opponent, you have a goal, the glitz, the lights, you have a fight, and then it's just gone. And I've talked to fighters over the years that win or lose, once that feeling is gone and the fight is over, it puts them in a funk. Like it's almost like a depression in a way. Is that something you've ever dealt with before?
I don't catch that weird shit, dude. I'm not like, oh, I live for the light. No, I don't do that shit, dude. I'll tell you what though, I could die at any moment after a victory. I cannot die after a loss. I think that all the fucking time. I'm happy with my life where I'm at. Like if I'm on a plane, which I'm on pretty regularly, just between media obligations, work, or fucking just training, and after like a good victory, I'm on top. I've like fulfilled my fill. I'm like, what, dude, this plane crashed. I'm Gucci. I'm good. I'm not worried about anything. After that Cerrone loss, you could not kill me. I could not die. I have to get some redemption back. I've got to like be on top again. After a loss, it's like I'm just constantly seeking the next point of redemption. But after a victory, I'm good. I'm set for life, man. I want the next victory, but I'm not chasing the applause by any stretch, And I'm also, I don't want to be a fighter for life. This is what I want to do for now. I want to achieve my goals, and then I want to move on to the next venture. I'm Alex. I'm not, the MMA guy or the fucking UFC fighter. I don't like pride myself on a title like that.
So when do you have a timeline on this? I mean, I know you're a very
I want to
guy.
bounce out. I want to bounce out before 35. So I'm 27 right now. That's plenty of time to get all my shit in, get everything I need to earn, make my connections, steal the guap, and move on to the next, the next venture. What
do you think that's going to be?
Well, that Irish son of a bitch took my whiskey, so I'm just probably going to chase the Mexican roots and go with tequila. You like those palms, boy?
The Mazda's there too. I thought you were growing a third hand for a second.
God damn, dude, I look so fucking ugly too. This thing, old puffy ass bitch. Yeah, dude, Miles with all this going on the tequila now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just gotta make mine more known, I guess. It's tough. You gotta take me seriously, dude. I didn't want to cancel on you last minute because he changed the time, and I lost. I don't pay attention to my times anyways. I just wake up in the morning and check the itinerary. So I was like, well, I certainly don't want to do Mike like that. He's got a schedule route here too, So
this is way better. This is way better than you just sitting in your gym. Now you have to do every interview like this.
I'll hang from a Raptor or something next time. Fucking.
All right, couple more things. I'll let you finish the rest of the massage here. Ferguson versus Gaethje. Who do you like in that fight?
That's tough. I think like what most believe, opening 3 rounds, I think Gaethje's got a shot. Like I'd almost say it's Gaethje's advantage. But then if it starts going into the 4th round, maybe even the 3rd or the 4th round, maybe even halfway through the 3rd. I don't know. See, my kind of mindset's changed now that he's got the time, and I'm so glad he's got the time because that fight honestly bothered me because I wanted Gaethje to have his camp. I want to have his time to train and prepare. But the way Gaethje's been fighting, like his last few fights, who did he knock out? Vic, Cowboy Barbosa.
Yep.
The way that he's just walked down and annihilated those guys, something's clicked in him. He's changed. He's not. I think he's always been composed, but he's just really refined and articulated his game better. And so now he takes less to do more. And I think the way that he's been taking guys out and the way that Ferguson is accessible to taking shots on the chin, I think Gaethje's got a great shot of putting him away in the opening 2 rounds. I mean, a great shot. Ferguson always loses the first round. He notoriously loses the first round and then just devastates the second round. Against a guy like Gaethje, that's not really a round you want to lose. You know, those opening 2 rounds are really decisive. I might give it to Gaethje now, dude. I might just swing it to Gaethje. But Ferguson's a fucking freak, though, dude. I mean, who do you got, man? I don't know. Convince me. I honestly don't know. I really a week ago I was all Ferguson. Then I started thinking more. Now I'm kind of Gaethje. I think it's probably the fight of the century. I think it's an incredible fight. I don't know. I wouldn't want to fight either one of those guys right now in my career.
I'm with you. What did you think of Ferguson making weight on Friday?
Dude, that guy's a maniac. I mean, I think that's exactly what he needed to do. You know, to stay true to himself, to keep the fear in people's hearts, and to keep true to, you know, the guys who question his sanity. That was the move to make. And I think he's a perfect maniac. I think he's a workaholic, you know, maniac. I think he's exactly who he needs to be and what he needs to be, especially for, you know, his occupation and his role as a champion. So I admire him. I do. I think I would never do that. I don't personally think that there's a big enough point in it, but I see why he did it, and I'm into it. So, you know, keep on being Fergie, you know.
Yeah, keep on being you, my man. Enjoy the rest of that massage. Yeah. Always great catching up with you. Yeah, look forward to seeing what's next for you, man. Stay healthy, safe, and
I will, dude. You know, I will.
All that good stuff. We'll talk soon, man. Thank you.
All right. Good catching up, man. Later.
All right. See ya. All right, there he is, Alexander the Great Hernandez, kicking off this week's show, and that was a pretty wild chat, was it not? Just a little bit of everything in there, and that was definitely the first time I've ever interviewed a fighter while he was on the massage table. But we will see what is next for Alex Hernandez at 155 pounds. Now let's check in with one of the top contenders at 205 pounds. He had that incredible fight with John Jones at UFC 247 in February, came up just short. Let us say hello to the Devastator, Dominic Reyes. All right, we have Dominic Reyes on the program, and man, many still believe a little over 2 months later should be the UFC light heavyweight champion after that incredible battle with John Jones at UFC 247. It's been a little while since I've had the chance to chat with the Dominator in this capacity. Dominic, how are you, man?
I'm good, Mike. How you doing, man?
Doing great. First question, which is the most important question. How are you doing during this crazy, unprecedented time in the world with COVID-19? How are you doing? How's everybody around you doing?
Everybody around me is safe and healthy, so that's nice. And I'm doing all right, man. Just doing a lot of yard work.
There you go. And you're multitasking like crazy, driving very safely, as you can see. The hands-free technology working in your favor, I see.
Yeah, man.
It's great having you here. Like, we sort of touched on this after your win over Chris Weidman in Boston at the post-fight press conference. From, viral KOs on the regional scene to your quick UFC debut. I remember interviewing you after that first fight, and people were coming up to you and recognizing you on the streets in the middle of that conversation. Then you were headlining events and fighting for titles. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, 6 or so year story. Cool. This would be a little bit different if that belt was on your mantle, but this has been a crazy ride so far, is it not?
Dude, it's been the most awesome ride. This wave is gnarly, bro. I love it. Every day is like, I feel myself getting better. I feel myself maturing and figuring this game out. And I'm having fun. It's hard not to smile, man. It really is.
I know in Boston, your first UFC main event, this was something like a bunch of us in the media covering the event we're talking about. You were just so relaxed the whole week, like walking around the hotel, walking around the city, like you were just having the time of your life. You were just taking it all in. As you're preparing to fight John, this is the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes. You're fighting for your first world title. Did that fight feel any different to you? Was there any extra in the butterfly department?
It was strange, man. All week, it was a little more because it was a title fight. And it was John. I regard him as the best of all time, to be honest. So that was big for me as well. But yeah, I was a little nervous. All my nerves went away when I was driving to the arena on fight night. I was driving. We were in a Lamborghini. Yeah. And I remember talking to my brother and being like, hey, man, like, no matter what happens, bro, like, I know that no matter what happens, I still have you and my family. And no matter what, it's going to be fine. Like, it's not going to, no matter what happens in this fight, it's not going to change who I am. So, like, he looked at me and, like, he's like, yeah, bro, you got this. Like, you're more than ready. Like, no matter what happens, we're all here for you no matter what. And I was like, heck yeah. And then it all just melted away and I was ready to go. I was like, I got to the arena, I was so relaxed and I was just kicking it like backstage.
Were you even more confident on fight night? Like as you're pulling up to the arena, especially in a Lamborghini, for God's sake, were you just feeling even more confident heading into that fight?
Yeah, man. As soon as I walked in, as soon as we got there, I was like, oh, heck yeah. I had a nice, custom fitted suit on. I looked good. I was like, I'm here. It's time. This is my night. This is my time. The only thing that's going to stop me tonight is me. So.
I mean, the fight was great, man. You gave John hell. You've talked about it a lot over the last couple of months. I'm curious, how many times have you gone back and watched that fight with John since it happened?
So I've only seen it twice. I've seen it, hundreds of thousands of times in my own head, but I watched it on camera twice.
Did anything change watching it back? I mean, you were in there, but watching it back, did you see things any differently? Because I know watching the fight at first, because I was recapping it, I had scored it for you. I watched it the second time with the sound off and no computer screen in front of me. I still had scored it for you, but I thought, I guess I could see how some people thought it was a little bit closer, but I still scored it for you. Did anything change watching it back at all?
No, man, it was exactly how I remember it going. It was actually better than I remember it going in my head. So that was cool. I mean, it was just like I thought. I mean, it could have been 4-1 for me. I still hold that same thought. I mean, you watch the film in the beginning of the fourth, I had him hurt pretty good, and then I kind of let off the gas because I didn't want to burn myself out. But whatever. It is what it is. We'll come back and we'll knock him out next time.
As you've seen it, as the world has seen at this point, a lot can happen in a short amount of time. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and in the midst of this wild times, John Jones found himself in trouble with the law once again. I saw you react to it on social media not long after, but after seeing the reports, I don't know if you watched the videos at all that have surfaced, but what was going through your mind when you saw this news?
First thing I thought was like, again, like, what is this guy doing? Secondly was, I'm glad it didn't happen before our fight. And then third was, this guy needs some real help. So that was my entire thought process on it. And that was really it.
Is there, I mean, like you said, I think a lot of people sort of reacted to this, that we figure he just needs to get the help that he needs. He needs to do it himself. Is there any part of you that feels bad for John through all of this?
No, not at all. I feel bad for a lot of people, but definitely not John Jones, ever.
In a way, with all of this, it kind of leaves a lot up in the air in terms of the 205-pound division moving forward, especially right now with what's going on in the world. And we've seen how the UFC has dealt with these situations over the years. Sometimes they act on it, sometimes they don't. Do you think they act on it here? Do you think there'll be any repercussions from the UFC should something happen here?
Man, I don't even... I got nothing for you, man. I'm not one of those decision makers. Honestly, I would like to I think the punishment should be you got to rematch Dom. That should be the punishment. Right?
Yeah.
It only makes sense.
Yeah, because
I'll serve up some justice. I'm fine with that. Let's do it.
Because I know you've done some other interviews, and you essentially said that the UFC was interested in running this one back, and there were talks about maybe in the fall. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm kind of spitballing here, but it sounds like you were in, they were in, John's the one thing holding it back. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Is it a little frustrating right now? Because most people would agree, I'll lay my cards on the table. I've said this before. I think the rematch makes all the sense in the world, and I think you do too. But with all this uncertainty, being so close to becoming a champion and just not knowing what the next move is, you seem very happy. But is it a little tough for you right now, deep down inside?
I'm very happy because I'm healthy and happy, man. But it's a little frustrating. I would have gave him a rematch if the judges would have scored it right. I would be like, yeah, man, you got the rematch, you deserve it. Good fight. But I don't know. He's not exactly a stand-up guy, so I can't. I don't. He's a guy where you expect nothing, and then if you get something, you're like, yeah, cool. I don't expect anything from this guy. I don't expect any goodness from him. But if we get some, then heck yeah. So I only can control what I can control at the end of the day, and I can control my attitude. I control, I'm training. But other than that, I'm not going to stress out over something that I have no power over. I have power over it where I could, keep poking the bear and all that, but, You don't
really need to do that, right? I mean, you can, exactly. But why?
Exactly. So I'd rather just smile and be happy, like whatever, man.
That's the best way to do it. We've seen Jan Blachowicz make his presence felt in the division. He wants that fight with John after the finish of Corey. What have you made of what Jan's done as of late?
Oh man, the social media stuff that he said he wants to fish John. That's hilarious, man. Jan, that's hilarious, man. Way to one up John with his weird gay talk, and then one up it. I'm gonna fist you. Yes.
Is that the tweet of the year in 2020 so far?
I don't even think he intended it to be the tweet of the year. I don't even know. There was quite a lot of good tweets. That was good.
That was good.
I respect that, Jan. I respect that.
Outside of the tweeting, in terms of the fighting, what have you made of him?
Oh, I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think he's one of the most technical guys in the division. I think he has some really good power. Yeah, I think he's just a technical beast, and he has a lot of experience where he's wise with his technical ability. So I've been wanting to fight Jan since I beat Jared Cannonier. I don't know if you guys know or remember, I called him out right after the fight. So, I mean, this is a guy I've been wanting to fight for a minute. So if there's an interim, then yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. But I think we're gonna get that rematch first.
You think you're gonna get the John fight? You think it's happening?
I think I'll get it over Jan, whatever Polish fight.
But if they
do, would John say he wants to pop some cherries in Poland or some weird crap like that?
He did say that, but who knows? I mean, if we're talking fall, is that sort of your timeline, the fall? Or if they offered you, say, the interim fight with Jan, June, July, August, would you jump on that opportunity, or would you rather wait till the fall?
I could do that. I just had to count the months real quick. Yeah, I'm good.
So you're good. You're good. So if we're doing 1, 2, 3, 2 or 3 months down the road, you're in.
I don't know, we're good. A couple fingers. We're good.
Oh man, what an exciting time 205 is right now. I mean, it's very fun. You got some guys on the come up too. Yeah, Yuri Prochaska is in the UFC now, ready to make his debut, and you've gone from the hunter to the hunted in a little less than 3 years in this division. So from a competitive standpoint, you got to be loving this right now. You got to love being the hunted and the exciting matchups potentially coming your way.
Dude, I freaking love it. So when I first got in the UFC, I always talk about trying to revive the division, being the new face of the 205s. We got guys coming up, but I'm just the leader of the class. And that's exactly what's happening, man. The division is going to be exciting for the next, as long as I'm in the division. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of great matchups out there for me. The list is so long now. It's so exciting. I'll just throw out a couple names of guys that I respect in the division that I think I'll fight in the future. So we got Alexander Rakic. We got Putelaba. We got the new guy that just joined, but we got to see how he fights. Corey Anderson, Johnny Walker, Jan, Thiago. Like this, dude, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be a fun next couple 7-8 years.
Besides the yard work, what else you've been doing during this wild time? Are you enjoying the quarantine life, or are you just ready to sort of move past all of this at this point? I know I'm kind of losing my mind a little bit, but trying to make the most of it. But I don't know how much longer I can do this, Dominic. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, I agree, man. I completely agree. I'm getting a little stir crazy over here. Not stir crazy enough to go out in the middle of the night and do some crazy stuff, but I'm getting stir crazy. That's for sure. But to be 100% honest, man, it's a lot similar to my life normally without COVID. I stay home a lot and I train and I go home. Like my routine is pretty, train, go home, see my family, train, go home, see my family, and then every once in a while throw in an adventure or a nightlife event, So it's similar, but I can't do things with other people anymore. Like I can't go out to a club or there's like just the beach. I mean, there's so many different things. So I'm ready for this to be over, man.
I saw you were teaming up. You did something with Paige Van Zandt for TMZ. Mm-hmm. Talk about that and how much you enjoyed that experience.
Oh, that was really cool, man. So TMZ started this new thing called Fight School. It's on Snapchat. And Paige is the host, and it's really cool. We talked about some of the stuff. Like, for instance, we talked about my uppercut that I landed on Jones, and kind of what I did to set it up and how I seen it. So it's actually a cool show. She's really nice. I think Paige is really cool. I never met her before until then. And she was really nice, really welcoming, and she's a very sweet girl. So Paige is cool, really cool. And that show is pretty cool, too.
We'll have to check that out. I want to end on this note. One thing is for certain, you have had a lot of support on the rise up this division, and even more so since the Jon Jones fight. In a sport like this, it can be like the most negative place in the world, but it seems like that support for you just continues to grow and grow and grow. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot to me, man. It also means that I'm doing things right. I'm just being me. I'm not trying to be a character. I'm not trying to be, a Colby or trying too hard. Like, I'm just focusing on my craft, and just being happy. I think the fans are seeing that I'm focusing on my craft, and they respect that I get better in between fights. I think that's what the fans really appreciate is my ability to go out there and get better, and as well as inflict as much damage as possible. I like fighting. I enjoy scrapping. And the fans are receptive to that. So I appreciate that because I truly love it, and they could see it out of me, I think, and I think that's what it's about.
I had a buddy of mine who texted me like 15 minutes ago and wanted me to ask you this because I know you were a football player. I don't know how much you follow the NFL these days. You probably follow it a little bit, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm up here in Massachusetts. They got Brady. They got Gronk now. What do you think of their chances now? And how heartbroken should I be at this point?
If I was you, I would be pretty hurt right now, to be 100% honest. Because I don't know, man. I think he should have retired up there. What does he need that much more money for? Like, he has a crazy amount of money. But whatever, man. I would see it as disrespect if I was a Bostonian, but hey, that's just me. I think Tampa's not going to be that great still. I think it's the same story. But we'll see. Brady's, a hell of a leader. And Gronk he'll bring a lot of energy to your squad, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens, man. I think it definitely boosted their stock, that's for sure. Yeah. But as far as championship caliber, it takes a lot more than one guy. It's his football. If it was MMA, then maybe he could be champ. This is
wow. There you go. I think he's just got this. I think Brady's just got this massive chip on his shoulder right now. He wants to prove he could do it without Belichick. Plus, the paychecks aren't going to hurt either. He's making more money than he's ever made in his life. And geez Louise, to be that guy right now. But We'll see what happens.
Not a bad gig. Not a bad gig to beat Tom Brady. That's for sure.
Absolutely. It's not a bad gig to be Dominic Reyes either, man. What a road this has been. We've made it to the promised land anyways. You're almost there. You're a win away from having that gold belt around your waist. And I can't thank you enough, man. It's always great catching up with you. And I'm glad we're able to do this after all this time. Stay safe, stay healthy. We look forward to seeing what is next for you. I appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, Mike. Have a good one, man. Peace.
Take care, brother. A very relaxed and a very happy Dominic Reyes joining us on the show. I realized I screwed up the nickname. I called him the Dominator at the beginning of that interview. It's something that's been with me ever since, but you just got to forge ahead when you make mistakes like that. But always great catching up with the Devastator. And in my opinion, no disrespect to Jan Blachowicz. I think what Jan's done recently has been great, but I think you got to run that fight back with Jon Jones, or at least if John's going to be out for a little while, I'm totally okay with Blachowicz versus Reyes for an interim title. I know that word interim has been thrown out more than the cliche octagon jitters over the years, but it kind of makes sense here, especially in the current times. Gets these guys a little more money, which I'm always okay with. The winner can fight Jon Jones. I'm good with that idea as well. And it seems like Dominic Reyes is not opposed to that either. As we bring in our next guest, this guy has just been surging up the UFC welterweight division. He just finished Damian Maia in the first round at UFC Brasilia last month. Seems like it was just yesterday, but it was over a month ago right now. He's the number 6 ranked 170-pounder in the world. Here's my chat with Gilbert Burns. All right, we move ahead to a man who may be having more fun on Twitter than anybody else on the planet right now. If he's not sharing funny fail videos, he's calling for big fights. So let's get an update from Gilbert Dorino Burns. Gilbert, good to see you, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Mike. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I know it's a difficult time in the world with coronavirus and everything, but how much fun are you having with Twitter and putting these videos out for the world to see?
And I'm going to tell the story. To be very honest with you, I shared the first one. And I think I shared like 3 or 4. And the first time that I was sharing these type of videos, the Miami videos. And I got a ton of messages, hey, please keep doing that. That was the first laugh that I gave today. And another guy, hey, that was the only laugh that I gave. Hey, you're making me so happy right now. I'm being so hard. And like, I get a ton of messages with the guys like, hey, that's the only reason that thing made me smile. That was this tweet. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to keep doing that. And then people were having fun. I just kept doing it. I was having a lot of fun. Like, I don't get to a lot of memes, but this one specifically was making me laugh so hard. I like that a lot.
So how do you find them? Are you just like scouring the internet looking for them and then just posting? Like, how are you finding these videos?
They have a page in Brazil. It's like O Caixão. It's kind of like the translation of the coffin. And the guy was sending to me every day. Look at that one. Look at this one. And I was just. And a lot of guys in Brazil, I guess the Brazilian community love those type of videos too. Everybody, as soon as I start posting, I think a lot of people start retweeting, and a lot of people just start sending to me. They send it, and every time I would just see a new one that I was posting. And until right now, I kind of give a little break, but still, I look at my Twitter, my Instagram, a lot of people still sending that thing to me, and it's funny. So I just kept posting.
They're just the most ridiculous videos. I'm like thinking about them right now. They're just so ridiculous. Yeah. I'm waiting for like the end of them every time with the guys dancing and everything and the music playing in the background. You even got like other fighters in the UFC getting involved. Like you're getting tagged left and right with these videos. It's you're bringing the fighters together in a way during this uncertain time, Gilbert. That's something to be very proud of, right?
Yeah, that was cool, bro. And a lot of fans like they just. And when they saw something on any type of social media, they tagging me. And sometimes I don't even saw it. Boom, I got 3-4 different tags on that thing. I say, oh shit, okay, I got it. And Twitter too, and a lot of fighters too. They making fun. Like I said, it's cool. It's funny. It doesn't hurt nobody. And a lot of people laugh. So why not? I'm gonna keep doing it.
I saw you gave Ben Askren the business the other day as well. Why did you decide to take that shot, if you don't mind me asking?
Come on, bro. Like, freaking Ben Askren. He left the sport. I don't even fought the guy. I know that was a fight that I won. And he talks a lot. And I think I was the main guy doing all these memes from these guys dancing. And come on, that question was for me. Hey, what's up with those? I say, come on, bro. You don't know like where you at? Like just a little. I don't even know Ben Askren to say something bad about him. I don't know him personally, but the character as a fighting that he does, I'm not a fan so much. Like I just wanna. He's one of the type of guys that if he's still competing, that'll be one of my picks for sure. I would love to compete against Ben Askren. He's not competing. They just have a little fun on Twitter. I know he likes to. Why not?
There you go. You saw an opportunity, you just took it, right?
100%. Every opportunity that I see, I will do something.
So let's talk about what's going on with you these days, because we had spoken around a month or so ago after the Damian Maia fight. First off, you fought on the last event before everything got postponed and temporarily shut down. Do you think about it like, man, if I was booked to fight a week later, who knows where things would be, you know?
I was very blessed and very, very lucky. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe, but I'm very happy, especially with the big fight that I had, the performance that I had. That was the first event with the closing door. Crazy, crazy. I told you I got way more nervous than usually because no crowd, no nothing. And yeah, but I'm still very happy and very glad that I performed. That was the last event that we had. And yeah, I'm blessed. And wow, if it was 1 week after, I'll be nuts right now because I know a lot of guys like to fight. You know, they love to compete. But I think I'm one of the top five, top three guys that love to compete. You know, I love to compete. Like I've been talking to a couple grappling tournaments that they already want to do the super fights. I already put my name in there. I know. I think it's gonna be a little hard to get an MMA fight right now. They're gonna have that one May 9. I think I mean, we don't know for sure. We hope they have the May 9 show and things start getting back after May. But I just love to compete, and I'm glad that I had the chance to compete. And bro, if I didn't have fought, wow, I'll be pissed right now. Like training, like being crazy. I still training a lot. I'm still doing. Like I got the keys from my conditioning coach from IAGP. They give me the keys. I can go there, do my workout. The gym's closed, but I still can go there. They have write down my workout. I get a couple of secret sessions with Henry Hoof, and I have my garage training that I have two guys that's coming. They coming almost every day, and we do literally regular schedule. We're still training. One day, yesterday we'll wrestle. Today we grapple a little bit in the morning because we're still gonna spar hard at night. So I still doing my regular schedule, but way different than before. We don't have the full trainers, the full. We have a lot of killers at the gym. We're not doing a lot of sessions together, but I still doing my best to stay in shape. But wow, I'm glad I just compete.
Yeah, and you were ready to fight the next weekend against Tyron Woodley for that London card that didn't end up happening. And a couple of weeks ago, you went on Twitter and said that you got turned down again. And I had reached out and you told me that it was Woodley who turned you down again. So what happened this time around from your perspective?
So what happened was the first time in London, he declined the fight, and then after the event was canceled, after the president give the speech and then I canceled, then he went on social media and I accept the fight with Gilbert. That was a lie, and he just asked to get on the fight for the May 9, this card that's coming, and he declined it again. He declined it for the April 18th that didn't happen. That's supposed to happen. He said he wants to get on this card, and Shanshia with Dana said the only guy available for you is Gilbert Burns. And then, let me think about it. Boom, he got back after a couple of days. We don't want to fight Gilbert. And then they have one spot for May 9. And I was already like, yeah, I'm not fighting. I'm still gonna train. I'm still gonna help the guys. I'm still gonna get ready. And I heard they have one spot. And Ali called me, say, hey, Woodley asked for that spot, and Sean says just you available. Just you, you're the only guy that's gonna be available to fight. On the top six, on the top five, you're the only guy. And he did the same thing again. Y'all give me a couple of days to think about it. and blah blah blah. That was when I tweeted out. I said, yeah, tomorrow we will know. And I was hoping he said yes, but guess what? Yeah, we're not interested in fighting Gilbert right now. But I'm okay with guys declining fight. Like sometimes they like he's the guy that I respect a lot because he reached out to me. Hey, I want to fight you. I say, let's do it. He say, I'm not training, bro. Like there's no way I'm gonna fight you right now. I don't have my training partners, and I'm okay, no problem. I know I get it. I understand. But the guy that lying to his fans, hey, I'm fighting, I'm a killer mode, I fight. And no, you're not. You're picking and choose fights. And I used to. I lost all the respect that I had to Tyron Woodley. I had a lot of respect to the guy. He used to be the champion, former champion. He had two title defense that was not fun at all. That was ugly fights. But the way he beat Darren Till, the way he beat Robbie Lawler, like, come on, we gotta respect the guy. But then he lost. He just do one fight a year. If you take a look, he just fight one time a year. Then he lost. After that, he just not fighting anymore. And then, come on, the guy comes and say, "Hey, please give me a title fight for my birthday." Come on, bro. And like, after that, I was like, man, that guy is playing around. Give me a title shot for my birthday. Come on, Mike. That's crazy. And then I was like, man, no respect for this guy anymore. And I'm done. I'm done calling him out. I'm done. UFC knows that I'm available. If we don't know right now, like a lot of people not training, they kind of forced into training, working hard to keep in shape. Let's say someone pulls out the fight, one fight is off from the main line. Let's just suppose the UFC knows that I'm ready to fight. Maybe I don't want to fight, maybe not. I'm done calling this guy out. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna beat everybody that they put in front of me. Eventually, I'm gonna fight Tyron Woodley. I believe that we're gonna fight, but I'm just done calling these guys out. If you wanna fight, we'll fight. Leon Edwards, Wonder Boy. I'm just gonna give one big call out. If anyone on these top five guys wants to fight, I'm available. If not, I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. If I need to have the if I need to do the hard path of beating the number 8, then the number 10, then the number 7, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep doing it, and eventually I'm gonna beat these guys. And harder to Woodley because guess what? He just turned 38. If I'm not wrong, 37, 38. If keep it ducking everybody, one more year, 39, one more year, 40. Okay, like I fight when you're 40. I don't mind. I'd rather fight you right now than fight when you have 40. Then you're gonna, oh, I was old, I was not in my prime. I'd rather fight these guys right now.
I feel like you're the wild card at 170 pounds right now because I'm not going to tell you who it was, but I've talked to like 2 or 3 different fighters. We were talking about different things. They're like, yeah, I want to fight on one of these cards. Like, I'm ready. Like, COVID be darned. Like, I want to fight. And I'm like, well, what about if Gilbert Burns is offered to you? Because that guy wants to fight. And they're like, I'm not really sure because that, I need to like train for that guy. Like, all due respect, like nothing but praise for you. But they feel like with the surge you're on, they need like an actual training camp to fight you. Does that make you feel any better about it, or is it still kind of frustrating because you're having a hard time landing a fight right now?
I'm learning to control a lot of my ego, like to don't let my ego get out of control and self control. I try to have a lot of that. If my ego is still having a bigger piece of me, my ego will be so happy with that. Like, yeah, they don't want to fight me. But now having more self control, being more aware of the situation is frustrating because I want to fight, I want to compete, I want to get better. And like the only why that I want to compete a lot is because I know I'm going to improve. I know I'm going to improve as a competition. That's how I start. I started jiu-jitsu at 12 years old. That's how I start training. And after 1 month, I don't even know what jiu-jitsu was. I don't even know the moves yet. 1 month, I did my first competition. 2 months, I did my second competition. 3 months, I did my third competition. And I never stopped competing. And that's how I got better in jiu-jitsu. It's not just going to the gym, training hard. No, it's training hard plus competing. And that's the only way I know to get better. And I get frustrated when the guys, oh, yeah, he's tough. Oh, for him, you need more. Why for me, you need more? Like for everybody, you need to be on your 100%. Like for me to be any type of guy on the top 10 or top 15, I need to be 100%. And to be 100% is more me. It's a fight against me. It's a competition against me. It's a lot of things that I need to don't do it, and a lot of things that I gotta do it in order to be 100%. But that's on me. That don't depend on my coach. It don't depend on nobody. No, my training partners. That depends on me. I need to that will to prepare needs to be big. That will to win, and I have that, and I get frustrated. I know I'm on a great spot right now, number 6 in the welterweight division. For my ego, nice, great. The status is nice being a top 6, but Rio Gilbert, the hungry freaking guy that loves to compete. Man, sometimes I wish I was on the ranking because I'll be fighting Nico Price. That I know that guy wants to fight. I'll be fighting anyone. I'll be fighting, But I'm on the top 6, and then they say no. I say I fight anyone. They say no, you're in the top 6. I'm not gonna give you a guy that not on the ranking now. Like wow. And I know a couple guys out there that you want to fight, like Nico Price. I love this guy, and I know he loves to compete. He don't give a damn to you. If you throw my name, he say, "Yeah, I fight Gilbert right now." I don't know. Tony Martin is one of the guys that I fight Gilbert. I don't care, but they're not on the ranking. And then I like, man, get more frustrated that I kind of earn a position to get a ranked guy, and everyone that is ranked, already, or they, I don't know, the couple excuse, couple guys they respect, but couple guys they I don't know. They just kind of. I have a meme too from Woodley. He just is that Dana White stopping looking like that, and Drake, that one that you want to fight and be champion again. Say no, you want to stay rapping, be a number one contender. Yeah, so that's all these guys want. They just want to save the spot. That I don't like that.
How do you kind of balance? Because I mean, eventually you just got to get to a point where you're just like, oh my god, like I have to fight. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
So,
What's going on? Usually that happens to me. Usually my kid comes in during my interviews, and that happens all the time. But it's nice to see it happen on the other end. But how do you sort of balance like the competitor Gilbert Burns who just wants to fight all the time to the guy who has sort of earned that spot? Like you're in the top 6 now. You want to fight guys that are ahead of you. You want to get to that belt. But eventually, do you think there's going to be a breaking point where you're just like, I don't care about the rankings anymore. I just want to fight somebody?
I think we will. If keep going like that, if I don't get a fight, like Willie don't want to fight, these guys don't want to fight, these guys just be honest. Let's put the names. Tyron Woodley don't want to fight. Why he? If I had an opponent before called Leon Edwards, the guy that's coming on a lot of wins, total respect to the guy, and Tyron Woodley was scheduled to fight the guy. They just don't fight because the whole Corona thing. Come on, now now I don't want to fight this guy anymore. I was fighting this guy. Come on, bro. You signed the contract. You're supposed to honor with that. So now he don't want to fight Leon Edwards. And Colby want to get an easy fight to get a not easy fight, but he wants to get one fight to fight for the title again. Leon Edwards still want to fight Woodley. So I want to fight Woodley. I want to fight Colby. I want to fight Leon Edwards, but I got it because Leon Edwards he deserves to fight Woodley. And I don't want to. I fight you if you don't fight Woodley. I fight you, but okay, you fight Woodley, and then who we have there? Wonder Boy, hands are broken, nice guy. Okay, I call this guy. I fight Wonder Boy too, but I think it's gonna get to a point that all that coronavirus need to be done, and I think if Wonder Boy, Edwards, Colby, or Woodley don't give him an opportunity, I need to fight Chiesa. After, let's say, all scenario goes good at DKS, Woodley, those guys keep stalling the division. I'm going to freaking fight Geoff Neal. And let's say I beat Geoff Neal. For sure, a lot of respect to these guys. I'm just putting in a scenario. Bad scenario. Okay, I beat these 2 guys. And they got to fight me now after those. Maybe I got to do 2 more fights to beat these guys just to, I don't know, because the skills are, this guy is irrelevant. He just got here. Okay, let me beat a couple more guys. And I just beat the guy that you make an ugly fight. I just finished the guy in the first round, a legend. That you guys just make all the rounds and finish the guy less than 1 round. So I don't know. I get frustrated sometimes, but I try to use that time to improve, to get better. But I still hungry, bro. Like sometimes I feel that I didn't compete, that I didn't fought this year yet. I think, and that makes me hungry. And then I don't know. I'm just gonna put all my energy on my training, on improve, on get better. And it's gonna be like a pit bull, like a pit bull when he's hungry, when he goes to a fight, he's gonna be on the cage. As soon as you let the pit bull go, that's gonna be me, like hungry and going forward to the fights, and can't wait to my next fight to show these guys how good I am, how good I'm getting, how bad I'm getting right now, And sometimes it's frustrating, but I'm gonna control that, and I'm gonna put all my energy on my training and get better.
So if you had a guess, do you think your next competitive event will be grappling or MMA? What do you think is going to come first?
I think it's gonna be grappling. I just heard the Flow Grappling. I have a great relationship with the guys from Flow Grappling. I heard they gonna do an event with the closing doors very soon. And I just put my name. Oh, if you guys do it, I better be on that. I better be on that one, because I'm not on the May 9th. There's a rumors from May 16th, but we don't know. But part of my MMA preparation is a lot of grappling, so I'll be grappling anyway. So, but if I have to guess, Mike, I guess I'm gonna grappling before I fight him. I fight in the UFC again.
How are you enjoying the extra family time with the quarantine? Because I know my kid's around all the time. His school's off for the rest of the year. How are you enjoying it?
How are you enjoying? Tell me the truth.
Some days are better than others, Gilbert. I'm not gonna lie. No, it has been good to just like I'll work and I'll take a few minutes to go downstairs and hang out with them. And once like I have a break in between, we'll run outside for a while. So it is nice having them there all the time. But I think you know what I'm saying. Once in a while, you need a little bit of a breather.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. The truth. I miss my training. I miss my training partners. I miss fighting, go to the UFC, watch the. I miss that, but what I miss the most is the school, bro. Is the kids in school, bro. Like I love my kids. Best thing that I have in my life right now, my family, my kids, and my wife. But wow, 24 hours with the kids, 24/7. Wow, it's too much, bro. And we're doing a lot. We're fishing, we're training, we're running, we're biking, we're basketball, we're trampoline, we go everywhere. We're doing everything, all type of games. But wow, I miss the school so much, bro. Like I love my family, but wow, we need a little break of each other. Sometimes I just, or let me just go on Home Depot, just just to get out a little bit. Give a little walk by myself, just because it's been rough. Like I love to stay with the family, but sometimes we need that little break. School is perfect, 8 to 2, no kids. Then kids come back. We miss the kids a little bit. We play ball and go to training, come back. I miss the routine, to be honest. I miss my routine.
Yeah. Big shout out to all the teachers out there because
Yes.
I've always put you on a pedestal, but now you're on like the biggest pedestal after all this time,
I sent a lot of presents already for the teachers. They deserve it, bro. Wow. My kids are trouble, bro. Like wow.
So when you're not training or hanging with, or even when you're hanging with the family, or if you're not creating Twitter videos that are making everybody happy, what else are you doing? Is there like any shows you're binge watching? You reading any books? Like what other things are you doing with this extra time?
Bro, I miss read the books. I get 3 books that I gotta read. Start reading. Didn't start yet. I promise to start this week. I'm done with the books. I gotta go back to the book real quick. We're just watching Netflix. We start watching the Fauda. Fauda, that's how he said the police one on Netflix called Fauda. We're watching this one, and I was just playing a lot of video games with the kids, like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and fishing. I think that was what I'm most doing: video game, fishing, Netflix. I watch a lot of fights. Yeah, but with the family, more Netflix. Fishing, we're fishing a lot. That's the first time that we really, I think I got a lot better on fishing. My ability to fish is better. And overall playing 100% with the kids. I like because they have a lot of energy, so we run. I'm gonna post a little video they do yesterday. They play TikTok. They love TikTok. They love all, and they saw Anthony Pettis Showtime kick, the kick that he gave on Ben Henderson. They both did perfect. my both kids, Pedro and Joshua, they both did the kick. I gotta post this one. They have a lot of energy. They were practicing the kick, like drilling over and over, and I was getting tired just to hold the pads, and they doing so. I like it because they have a lot of energy and they're so athletic. Anything they do with a lot of energy, with a lot of will. So I just I'm having a lot of fun with the kids as well, but sometimes it's a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be the guy all positive. Oh, super nice. No, bro. It's be super hard sometimes.
Keeping it real. We're keeping it real on the show. I want to let you get back to the family, man. Always a pleasure. I think I speak for a lot of people, Gilbert, when I say kudos to you for trying to put smiles on our faces during these uncertain times in the world. All the best to you and the family. Hope you can get back in there sooner rather than later. Thanks, Gilbert. Always a pleasure catching up with you, man.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that time with you too, bro. Take it easy with the family.
Gilbert Dorino Burns, ladies and gentlemen. Always great chatting with him. If he can get some fights agreed upon this year, this could be a massive year for him. But he's in that weird position where, he wants to fight up, but so do all the other guys ahead of him. Because once you get into that top 5, you're just looking right at the UFC title right now. And 170 in the UFC is a very, very, very strong division. And it's going to be interesting to see what Gilbert Burns is next. I have a feeling he's going to have to take a step back to at least get a fight, which he really wants. Maybe take that. He could be a guy that sort of takes that Tony Ferguson approach up the 170-pound ladder. But we'll see what's next for Dorino, hopefully sooner rather than later. As we check in with our next guest, she is officially the first multiple-time guest in the very short history of What the Heck, as we welcome back UFC reporter Laura Sanko. All right, a couple weeks ago, we checked in with our next guest, but in this crazy sport, things can change in an instant, and that's what happened with this conversation. It was one that I truly enjoyed, but unfortunately, things changed, and a lot of that conversation became sort of old news after the April 18th iteration of UFC 249 was canceled. So we want to bring her back on, catch up on all the moving and shaking regarding this event and the UFC in general. So let's welcome back UFC reporter Laura Sanko to the program. Laura, how are you?
I'm great. It's good to be back. I was laughing because when you posted that interview, someone commented on Twitter, didn't age well. And I think the ego in me thought that they were referring to me, and I was really hurt by that. But then I realized, they meant the interview didn't age well because everything changed like 24 hours later. Hopefully they meant it. Maybe they did mean me. Maybe both. Who knows? Either way, I'm at peace with it all.
Yeah, it's not you. It's either me or the event. But, be that as it may. And I think when people who aren't fans of the sport ask me if the MMA news cycle is crazier than any other sport, I feel like our first conversation would be a great starting point to prove that theory accurate. Would you agree? Totally
agree. I mean, that was because you uploaded that, 10 hours after we spoke? Less than 10 hours after we spoke. And it was all completely a moot point. And that is the name of the game around here.
I definitely want to get your take on a number of things, but as some people know, you were supposed to be on the show last week, but you had to reschedule at the last minute because of an unfortunate incident. You were very apologetic about having to reschedule, which was not necessary at all. But if you don't mind, can you talk about what happened last week?
Yeah. So if people follow me on Instagram, they probably know that I live on a farm. It's technically a ranch because we only have cattle, but it's not a Texas-sized ranch. We have 150 acres here. But what is kind of unique about it is I don't actually live in the country. So like out one window this way, I can see the golf course that's connected to the country club in the neighborhood right next to us. And then there's another neighborhood right over here. But we have this chunk of farmland. And so we have farm equipment. I mean, like I said, we have 35 head of cattle and do that whole thing. So it is a working farm in that respect. And we woke up Easter morning and a big piece of farm equipment had been stolen. It was our Polaris Ranger, not like the Razor where they're fun. It was more of a farm version, and a bunch of tools had been stolen. So like $20,000 worth of stuff. And the worst part was that they whoever did it was not ultra intelligent. They went through the fence, which any farmer will tell you, I would almost rather you wake me up and I'll open the gate for you than run over my fence, because the entire property, all 150 acres, which I don't know what the circumference is exactly, but it's several miles, is one contiguous electric thick wire fence. So when you break part of it, putting it back together is an absolute mother effer, to be polite about it. But it was not a good way to wake up on Easter. It's weird because we don't have, we will now, but we didn't have security cameras where our equipment is stored. But our neighbors who've just built across the street have excellent footage where we can see specifically the vehicle, the people. We know roughly what they look like. We can watch them go in, break into a bunch of stuff. I'm obviously thankful that no one was hurt and all that, but it's such a weird feeling knowing that other people were in your things and off enjoying them or profiting from them or whatever. But like I said, that's certainly not, it's not the worst thing that could have happened. So all in all, not a huge deal, but certainly not fun either.
So are these very intelligent individuals still on the loose right now?
Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, I mean, we were able to piece, it was kind of fun. My husband was so annoyed about it, and he's got too much time on his hands right now, as do a lot of people. So we canvassed the neighborhood that leads the direction that we know that they left. So we have a lot of people's Ring camera footage of them tearing down the street. We know what vehicle they arrived in. We know what time. We know that they were also canvassing that neighborhood and the other neighborhoods around us for other stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of Ring cameras don't have high enough resolution where you can actually get a license plate or the right angle to get a license plate. So we don't know what kind of car it was, but we don't know exactly who they are. So no, they have not been apprehended. And like I said, the only thing that made us feel slightly better is that this very electrified fence that we have, like I said, it's very thick wire. The bottom wire had clearly been cut by some sort of fence cutter or whatever. It was a clean cut, but the bottom wire is not hot. The middle wire, you could tell, had been cut partway through, and then someone had stopped cutting it, clearly because they got the shit shocked out of them. Because I can assure you don't want to stick a metal tool on that middle or top wire. The top wire had been driven through. So clearly they cut the bottom one, thought, oh, no big deal. Went to the second one, got shocked to, not to death, but, got shocked pretty bad. And then thought, screw this, we'll just drive through the top wire. Because the top wire actually broke like a quarter mile from where they went through. But anyway.
That is wild.
I'm happy someone got electrocuted. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find silver lining wherever you can find it. And I'm obviously sorry that happened to you all. Hopefully that all gets squared away in your favor. And thank you for sharing that. But let's transition to another wild world, MMA, the UFC. Let's go back a couple of weeks ago. You come on the show. We hype up UFC 249 on April 18th. You find out you're going to be a part of the broadcast. And then hours after the show was released, it was no longer happening April 18th. How did you react to all that, especially since you were so excited to get back to work?
I was clearly so pumped. Unbelievably disappointed. And they must have had a phone tree set up or something, because, right now when every bit of information, people are starving for it. So they're aware that as soon as anything gets announced, it just spreads like wildfire. So I think that they didn't want to tell us first. So they I'm guessing, told Brett Okamoto initially about it. And then as soon as they did that, they told everyone else. Because literally, I got the text from my boss just moments after I saw something online. It was literally within 2 minutes. So yeah, I was really disappointed. Really disappointed. But I understand why it happened. I think we talked about that a little bit, when you and I spoke. I do understand the other side of the equation. But I'm very happy to say I'm headed out for May 9th. So I have a new goal to hit. I'm excited to go to those fights, and that card looks crazy good.
Yeah, with the May 9th event, you find out you're going to be working that one as well. When you saw that this was getting real again, because I think people expected it was going to be a couple of weeks, maybe like another month before we could start putting things together after what happened with April 18th. I'm sure you were excited to find out you're going to be a part of this, but do you allow yourself to get too excited with all the uncertainty in the world right now? Yeah,
I'm finding myself being a little bit more reserved about that type of stuff. But I had posted, I remember what I posted. I posted something. It was actually after we had the equipment stolen. I posted something on Instagram where I was just honest about how I was feeling about being cooped up and missing all this work and just feeling like my life was not in my own hands, which is not a feeling that I particularly love. And not long after that, I can't remember, but I think the next day, Dana very kindly messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, keep your head in the game. I want you to know, like, as soon as that other fight got called off," he's like, "within a day, I was already talking to Disney and ESPN and getting this figured out. And May 9th is going to happen. And like, don't you worry. Like, you know, we're going to make this work." So pretty soon after, I was really disappointed. I felt at least a ray of hope. And then as I saw more and more news come out, I felt good about it. And I'm confident it's going to happen. I got travel booked today, so should be there.
There you go. And we, as most of us know now, Ferguson Gaethje, that fight's going to headline this card for the interim lightweight title. And you gave a really incredible breakdown of the fight, which you could check out in the archives of the show. But now you have Justin Gaethje, who was going to take this fight on less than 2 weeks' notice originally. Now he gets a few extra weeks to prepare for this wacky puzzle that is Tony Ferguson. So I'm sure this is going to help in so many facets, getting that extra time. But how big of a difference does this make, in your opinion, for Justin Gaethje heading into May 9th? I think it makes a huge difference, because Tony's one of those guys that, you know, he's not, well, no one's a perfect fighter, but Tony Ferguson is not a perfect fighter. And this is another 2 weeks that Justin Gaethje has to study his game, to study those openings. And you'd be amazed what you can accomplish in a short period of time when you know exactly what you're dealing with, who you're going to be facing. And while on one hand, I love that Tony Ferguson made weight, only Tony Ferguson would do that, right? Like, it was a very Tony move. Part of me is like, that's so incredible. That's so cool. It's so difficult to do. But the analyst side of me, I don't love it. I don't love it for the fight itself, because it's not that far away from having to do it again. And anybody who fought, it's probably far enough where I'm not confident it will have any effect on his second weight cut. But anybody who has fought on The Ultimate Fighter will tell you firsthand, anytime you make weight that close together, if you have even a reasonably difficult cut, which I think Tony does, that second one is rough. Your body does not like to do that too close together. So the fan in me is like, that's awesome. The analyst in me is like, I don't know if I would have done that, but it's cool that he did it. And it definitely shows the mentality that makes Tony Ferguson who Tony Ferguson is and what he's like in a fight. I mean, the guy does not give up. It doesn't matter what odds he's facing. He is one of the most mentally fortified individuals that you'll ever see inside the octagon. You know, Justin Gaethje's a wild man, and I think he's got 2 extra weeks to work, man. That's a lot of time to study, a lot of time to prepare some specific combinations. So I'm even more excited for this fight than I was. Yeah, Tony's such a savage. Like, just he did that for himself, but obviously you got to believe there's some psychological warfare there as well. And I've been seeing kind of like both sides of the sword, like kind of the fan and the analyst side of it. And Daniel Cormier said something pretty interesting on Monday. He said that it essentially won't be as hard as people may think, because when he starts his cut again, he's not going to be at like 179 like he did maybe for this first one. He'll be at like 173, 174. So it's going to make things a little bit easier. What do you think about how DC sort of looked at it?
Well, I think DC's looking at it like a heavyweight. You know, DC, I think that the heavyweights are not going to bounce up to their hanging out weight as quickly as someone who is cutting to lightweight does. You know, that lightweight cut, those guys, you know, James Kraft, obviously a really good friend of mine, fought at lightweight for a very long time. And he's taller like Tony is. He's actually big, a little bit bigger frame than Tony is. But the guys that cut to 55, I don't care who you're talking about, no one has an easy cut to 55. That's just the way that those two weight classes are situated with each other. So while he might not bounce up to his like, oh, I'm just hanging out, walking around weight, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody that has an easy cut to 55. And again, I just go back to all of the many, many people I've talked to that have either taken fights close back to back or were on The Ultimate Fighter. And I've seen it happen in person. It's happened to me. When you cut weight, when you truly cut weight, when you truly make weight, you spend time in the sauna, whatever you have to do, your body does not enjoy doing that a second time too close together. Now, how many would it be 3 weeks apart?
Yep.
That's certainly, I know that sounds obvious to say. 3 weeks is a heck of a lot better than 2 weeks. It gets, the curve of how much easier that gets is kind of a hockey stick, I think. But I wouldn't, if I was his coach, I would not have been a huge fan of that. But then again, like when you know Tony and his mindset and what he needs to do to keep his mind right, maybe the risk of cutting twice too close together is outweighed by the mentality that would, the energy that would bring, his mindset coming to the fight, which for someone like Tony might be way more important. So
it's going to be such a wild fight. And another fight that's really interesting, get Henry Cejudo defending against Dominick Cruz for the bantamweight title. I think it's been almost 3.5 years since we've seen Dominic. Henry's been on a tear as of late. Stylistically, when you put these two guys on paper, such a fascinating fight. What are your thoughts on Cejudo versus Cruz?
It's such a fascinating fight, and I'm so excited to see Dominick Cruz back in the mix at bantamweight again. I mean, this completely shuffles the deck for that weight class. And we talk about someone who is one of the, the most dominant champion that division has seen, but to have not fought in nearly 4 years opens so many questions. But I'm telling you, if you were to ask me, fighter A fought fairly recently, had a great fight, won. Fighter B hasn't fought in 4 years, also did not win his last fight. Who are you going to pick? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pick the guy who just fought and who won. Only Dominick Cruz, and I'm telling you, only Dominick Cruz can spend 4 years away from the octagon and come back and not miss a beat. And that is what I expect from him. I know that sounds crazy, but having spent time around him, he is a mentally unique individual. He is one of the most intense people I have ever met. He's one of the most intelligent people I have ever met. His ability to analyze, I mean, you hear it obviously all the time on the broadcast. I think he's one of the most capable analysts in terms of just on the fly, really breaking things down that we have. And he puts that into practice. It's not like he's been away from the game, and he's, it's kind of a running joke, honestly, that, Dominic doesn't believe in ring rust. That's kind of his mantra that he tells about other fighters all the time. And he really does believe that. Has he added new tools to his game? We have no idea. Or have these injuries affected his ability to move? And his movement has always been the key to his game, because it's really, really tough to train for Dominick Cruz when he moves the way that he does. But, like I said at the beginning of this comment, Henry Cejudo has looked phenomenal as of late. I feel like if you would have asked me 3 or 4 years ago, would Henry Cejudo be fighting Dominick Cruz for the bantamweight championship, I would say that you're crazy, because there was a time when I felt like Henry wasn't really putting it all together. His stance is completely different. His movement is different. He's knocking guys out, and he looks absolutely incredible in the last couple of years. And I think Dominic has his hands completely full with someone like Henry Cejudo.
It's a big legacy fight for both guys too,
Huge.
because I understand the fans aspect. We're like, well, what about Piotr Jan, and what about Aljamain Sterling, and what about Corey Sandhagen? Like, these guys have been active and they're winning. Like, I get that, but I have much less of a problem with this fight than I did with the Jose Aldo fight, if that makes sense.
Agree. This, and that goes back to the point I made earlier about Dominick Cruz. People have that understanding that Dominick Cruz did not take time away because his fight game was falling off. He didn't take time away because he lost his focus or his priorities. He had to take time off because of injuries, and he left on the precipice of being a champion again. So I think it's more than right to stick him right back in the mix of contender. I have absolutely no problem with that. Given his legacy, he's a guy in my book who doesn't need to reprove himself, right? So I love this fight. Although I also get why, if I was Piotr Jan, I would not be loving it. But he's got a fight booked too as well. I think up in June. Who knows what's going to happen to the schedule? But I imagine that fight will go on as planned, possibly.
Against Omar Morales. That's
but I guess it's in Kazakhstan, so that might present some problems. Maybe Fight Island for that one.
Ooh, I'd have to know more about this Fight Island on the road.
I do too. I'm dying.
I just want to see what it's going to look like. But, a lot of the April 18th event, at least the second fight card, is going to move forward on May 9th. We got Cerrone and Pettis. We got Watterson versus Esparza. That's a great fight, but we may have to add another fight to this card. I know there's an open spot, one that nobody expected. The UFC might have to add a fight between Megan O'Leary and Laura Sanko, because on Tuesday night, Megan O'Leary tweets, quote, "Laura Sanko, you're taking everything I worked for, MFer." What is the story behind that tweet from your colleague? Did you not see this?
I did not see it. No.
She must. I would assume it has to do with you getting the nod to be a part of the May 9th broadcast. But yeah, she tweeted out, "Laura Sanko, you're taking everything I worked for, MFer."
Well, this just got awkward, didn't it? No. If she wants to fight, I'm in. I mean, I've always, I don't know if I believe in fighting coworkers, but I feel very confident in my chances in that fight. Let's put it that way.
I can't believe you didn't see that.
No, I didn't. And no one sent it to me either.
Really? I thought
yes.
It's hilarious. I was just like, what?
No, I'm gonna guess she's joking, but yeah, I might have to respond to that. We'll see.
I have to see this response. I'm curious because you're going.
Hey, sorry, Mike. I'm gonna interrupt. Actually, I'm mistaken. That was from a fake account of Megan O'Leary.
I was like, what?
I just looked it up. They did the thing where they barely changed the name around. So
that's hilarious.
It was like the Air Hawani tweet that Dana White responded to.
Oh, I thought I saw the blue check mark and everything.
Yeah, me too.
Can I just say, I'm so glad I didn't see it, because Lord only knows what I would have written in response. But I can tell you, like, that
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Deeply out of character for her, because she's very professional.
That's why it was so surprising to me. And I looked at it and like, I usually am more careful with these things, but then it got sent to me again. And I was like, all right, but good Lord.
Sorry,
no.
I'm turning red right before your eyes.
Inside joke. So that's why we're going to talk about it. But then I realized you didn't hear about it. Like, oh, wait, let me double check. And then while you were talking, I was like, oh, it was a fake account.
I'm so, listen, I've been duped before, but that's absolutely hilarious. I will say that, like, I was sitting here racking my brain because I'm like, that does not sound like something that she would do.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a total like joke. Like I thought she was just like playing around. That's how I took it. Yeah, no, totally. Plus, she's awesome and she's amazing at what she does. So I can't imagine that she would feel that way either. But that is really, really funny. That is great. What a terrible moment for me, but it is what it is. We're gonna do it. Can I tell you something? I after the James Krause fight, when there was that card with all of the really questionable judging, and that one judge that was later found to have been training with and I can't even repeat it all now. There were a couple of people that were creating fake accounts of that guy, one of those fake accounts tweeted me and said something like, "Get back in the kitchen." I went off. And I am ashamed / not ashamed to say that I may have sent it to someone at the UFC and said, we need to never work with this judge again because he's a dickhead. Wow. And then very quickly, thank God, some other people on Twitter were like, no, this is a fake account. This is a fake account. And then I was like, never mind. He's fine. He can stay. He doesn't, I mean, his judging is still questionable, but he doesn't need to be fired. Wow. All right. You made me feel a little bit better. So thank you. It happens to the best of us. So a couple more things before I let you go. I know you're supposed to be on the April 18th broadcast. DC had talked about, sort of how things would have gone from his perspective. Like he would have drove to Tachi Palace on Saturday, get tested. He would call the fights and then he would drive home. What would your schedule have looked like for that event? Would you have flown in earlier and been around the whole fight week, or would you have come in on Saturday and left on Saturday? Yeah, I would have come in a little bit later on Friday. And there was going to be a medical check. As soon as we got in, we were kind of instructed to really stick to, our room, just really limit the amount of people and objects, frankly, that you come in contact, and just be really, really smart with it.
there were strict instructions even about the way that I was going to conduct my interviews, which I'm imagining will still apply to May 9th. It's tricky because with the social media interviews, they are filmed vertically so that they can be put up on an Instagram story. So we don't have the benefit really of being able to stand too far apart. So I actually might be doing a number of my interviews almost in an Instagram live format where I'm on a phone and the fighter's on a phone in a slightly separate location. This remains to be seen, and the logistics are a little clunky, but I also said, I'm personally not opposed to doing interviews that would be, at a reasonable distance either. So we'll see what happens. But they're definitely going above and beyond to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible. And there is, I think, a medical check every day that you're there. And they're arranging people's travel to where we're there on site as little as possible. So get in late, leave early, that type of thing. Come in contact with as few people as possible.
Laura, I can't thank you enough. It is a weird time in the world. I appreciate coming on and talking fights. And I'll have you know, I was thinking about you the other day because school in Massachusetts is officially canceled for the rest of the year. And we got a package delivered in the mail yesterday. Common Core Math Skills Workbook. I was like, oh my God, Laura warned me about this. This is going to be a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm lucky that I'm still in kindergarten math, which thank goodness I have a pretty good grasp of. What grade are your kids in?
He's in kindergarten.
Oh, well, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
All right, I saw Common Core. I'm like, oh my God, no.
You can't get too Common Core with kindergarten math. Come on. I would be concerned if I had a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and upgrader. Forget it, because apparently the way that they multiply and do long division now is completely different than what you and I learned, and it would not be a pretty picture. But yeah, no, we are trucking along in homeschool. I don't know. I'll have to, maybe I'll bring my son on one of these times and he can tell you what he thinks of me as a kindergarten teacher.
Well, all the best to you and the family, Laura. Look forward to hearing your voice in the broadcast May 9th. Thanks again.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
There you have it. And I am man enough to admit it, ladies and gentlemen. I was duped. Can't believe I was duped. Well done, Megan O'Leary. Parody accounts. You got me. You got me, and you got a lot of other people with that one. What an embarrassing moment. But thanks to Laura Saenko for coming on the show and at least making me feel better about it. But God, what a dope. But we got to get ready for the final interview of the show. It was a little over 10 years ago that this man, Frankie Edgar, became a UFC world champion at UFC 112. And now he's looking to start another chapter in a storied career at 135 pounds. I will preface this by saying the audio is a little bit wonky. I don't even know if that's an actual word, but the video quality is tremendous. The audio just kind of spaces out a little from time to time, but I just want to just kind of throw that warning out there for you guys. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed this conversation. So here it is, my chat with Frankie Edgar. All right, we move ahead to our next guest, the former UFC lightweight champion of the world. Happy to be joined by Frankie Edgar. Good to see you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. You got the quarantine beard looking strong right now, Frank. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen you with the beard, at least like that, throughout your career. Is this a new thing for you?
It's just something to keep me occupied in this quarantine. I keep saying I'm going to cut it when the quarantine's over, but I don't see an end in sight. So I'm going to have to reassess the situation in a couple of weeks here and see what we're going to do.
So how many weeks of work has this beard been so far?
Yeah, I'm like 6 or 7 weeks in. 6 or 7 weeks growing this thing, so it's a minute for me.
Do you enjoy it? Because I feel like you look like a different person almost. Like you look scary. You look like a ferocious man with that beard.
You know what? Maybe I should keep it. I need all the help I get, man. I'm not the guy to begin with, so.
Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time. First things first, how are you and the family holding up during this crazy time in the world, the coronavirus pandemic? How's everybody doing?
We're doing okay. Just staying in for the most part. I'm training, in my basement. I'm training with one other friend of mine. We said we got ourselves in a monogamous relationship, and only me and him could train. So at least I got one guy I could work out with. But other than that, I'm in my basement or in my gym by myself. So you know, homeschooling the kids, all that stuff is it's an experience. So we'll keep it at that.
Did I see on Tuesday you posted about a tornado or something tornado-ish hitting your house? What happened there?
Yeah. Yesterday afternoon, actually. We didn't know a tornado was coming. We knew a thunderstorm was coming. I'll go for a bike ride with my kids before it came. I'm outside taking the garbage out, and all of a sudden it starts whipping up. And I actually posted a video on my Instagram, so it's on there. But from like the ring camp, yeah, it was. My roof I probably needed to get a new roof. I have a window broken. In my neighborhood, there's trees down like crazy. Probably worse than Sandy as far as trees went down, at least in my neighborhood.
Wow. Is everybody okay?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's safe, you know, just some damage. I don't know if everyone in my neighborhood got out with, you know, safely. I'm assuming they did, but I know damage definitely a lot.
I think I've seen one tornado land here in Massachusetts across the street from where I used to live. And I've seen a couple from a distance visiting family down south, but to see one in the Northeast, that's super rare, right? Like, have you ever seen a tornado before Tuesday?
Yeah. No, this is the first time I've ever been in a hurricane or a tornado, rather. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm calling it a tornado. Maybe it was a friggin' gale wind or something, but it felt like a tornado. It felt like a movie, dude. I heard it coming for like 30 seconds, and I almost didn't know what it was. I thought the rain was coming. I'm like, is that rain? And then when it started getting closer and closer, man, that buzzing was it was like a movie. It really was wild.
It's crazy. In terms of your fighting career, the last time we saw you compete was in December against the Korean Zombie, and you took the fight on, at least opponent-wise and weight class-wise, short notice because you were scheduled to fight Corey Sandhagen a month later. You know, you've been in so many different scenarios in your career, Frankie. What did you take away from that fight with Korean Zombie in Busan?
You know, I took the opportunity. I don't regret taking the opportunity. Looking back, and that always sucks. And you just can't go back and change those things. But you know, I stacked the cards against myself more so than usual. Going out there, distance, to a foreign country, all that stuff. I think what I learned is this next time around, I want to kind of put the ball in my court and you know, make sure it's a favorable situation for myself. Not so much, you know, going in the enemy's territory and you know, short notice and all that stuff.
By the way, did you happen to see Korean Zombie's video about how fighters can cheat at weigh-ins? Did you see that at all?
No, I Gray's past. Yeah, I've seen something like that. I didn't really watch it though, honestly.
Yeah, so basically what he did, it was like him and a fellow fighter, they did this video where they literally walked through every cheating scenario that they've ever seen at weigh-ins. Some things that I've seen before, like the towel thing, some things I'd never seen before, like the finger on the back, and they went through like all these different things. So that leads me to believe, like, is there anything that you've seen at weigh-ins over the years that people should watch out for that maybe fans and, you know, other fighters may not be aware of?
I mean, the only thing I see back in where you know, my buddy weighed in and his friend of ours stayed behind him and kind of lift up his butt cheek for him a little bit to kind of make him lighter. I don't think that's possible. You know, UFC events guys are not so close to you. They shouldn't be so close to where they can grab you. So as far as in the UFC, I don't really know. I don't have to cheat, or find ways to cheat. I never have the lights part of the scale like they always try to do.
So your plan was to head down to 35 for your next fight to fight Sandhagen. I assume that's still the plan moving forward.
Yes, that's the plan. 35. I don't know who I'm gonna get matched up with, but you know, so someone along those lines, and you know, we'll see. I wanted to fight in June before this all went down, and you know, now I see that May 9th is scheduled tentatively, and I guess we'll see what happens. Once the ball gets rolling, I would like to get in there, probably typically, ideally.
Have you already started to like change the diet and things like that in preparation for that eventual cut to 35, or are you going to wait until, you know, something's pen to paper, you got something in the books? Because, you know, this is a tough time to be thinking about dropping weight. I know I've tried and have failed miserably at this point.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not the ideal time to be worrying about weight and, you know, not having access to all the amenities and whatnot. But, you know, when I decided this past summer I was going to go down to 35, I kind of tricked my mind to not get over 60, and I'm pretty much there. I probably walk around 57, you know, without really trying hard. So, you know, I got my weight in the right the ride to begin with, and a date in mind. I'll get all hooked up with a nutritionist and really get it zeroed in.
How do you sort of look at the UFC moving forward right now? Because obviously you're a fighter and you've never said no to a fight. And obviously this is a different time now than we've seen in the past, but you're wearing a lot of different hats. You're not just a fighter, you're a father, your husband, your family man, your training partner, all these different things. If the UFC said, like, Frankie, man, we need you for like May 23rd or something, would you have a hard time taking a fight right now, or would you need to wait a little bit? Or are you ready to just jump right in there at this point?
Like I said, based on my last fight, I don't want to jump and take anything short notice, really. I want to have a proper camp to prepare and all that stuff. Always a game guy. And if the situation is tempting for myself, then of course I'll think about it. Not want to say like I'm disregard. Obviously health and safety have to be in concern for everybody involved. I'm not trying to disregard this whole pandemic and whatnot, but I'm an athlete and I want to compete. I mean, this is what I've been doing my whole life. So that's what I want to get back to regardless of what's going on.
35 is super interesting right now. It's just a loaded division. Everybody in the top, like 25 to 30 is somebody to keep an eye on, or, is right there. How excited are you to just be a part of this division and start mixing it up with some of these guys?
Yeah, it's cool. It's just like another extension of my career. It's been half my career at lightweight and then the other half at 45. So I get a new set of toys to play with, you know what I mean? And a lot of new interesting matchups and that I could possibly match up with.
How do you feel about the matchmaking up the top these days? We're going to see Cejudo Aldo. Now we're going to see Cejudo Cruz, who's coming back after a 3+ year layoff. A very interesting fight on paper, no doubt about that. But what are your thoughts on the matchmaking in this new division of yours?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. Not so much just my division. I think kind of all divisions. Guys are getting title shots off, not one, but 2 losses here and there, or guys coming from, 4-year layoff getting a title shot. So you really don't know what's going to happen. I get why they're doing it. They want to put popular guys in. Dominic Cruz is one of the most guys at 35. He may be the best champion we had at that weight so far. So, I could see why they're pushing him along, but I could also see how some other guys might be frustrated by that.
Speaking of champions, a little over 10 years ago, we were actually talking about this off air as well. You became the UFC lightweight champion. Like, you beat BJ Penn in Abu Dhabi, UFC 112, an amazing achievement and accomplishment for you, obviously. I remember watching that fight with my buddies in this tiny apartment. It was just a crazy night. And I remember being a fan of the sport. It was like just when I was getting in my fan, I was so happy. But 10 years ago, you made a dream come true. Do you still remember that night vividly and hearing the "and new" like it was yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. That's that one will stick in my memory, right in the forefront forever. I always talk about my wrestling career and kind of always coming in second and getting so close to my goal and not achieving it. So that night, being able to achieve that, become the best in the world, and hearing "and new" is something I'll never forget.
I mean, the first time is obviously something very special, but let's just say you jump into this bantamweight division, you go through these contenders and you capture that second title in a second weight class. Any chance that trumps the first one, or will the first one always remain up top on that pedestal?
We're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to have to wait and give you that answer.
Last thing, Frankie, I appreciate the time very much. People are starting to lose their minds with this quarantine right now, and you're staying as busy as you can. But people are just looking for something new to grab at, a book, a new show, a movie. What's the answer? Pun fully intended, Frankie, for those folks. Any book recommendations, anything that we should check out and read to better improve ourselves during this crazy time?
I read the book, The Outsider. It's a series on HBO. My buddy told me to watch it, but I read the book instead. Stephen King, I ripped it in like a week. It's like a 500-page book, but ain't shit to do. I ripped that book. It's pretty good. It follows along the series pretty closely too. So that's not a bad pick right there.
I'll have to check that out for sure. Great stuff, Frankie. I really appreciate you coming on. I've been covering the sport for a little over 5 years now, and this is the first time we've been able to chat. So it means a lot. Anything else you want to get off your chest, let the folks know about before we let you go?
No, hey, check out my podcast, Champ and the Tramp. It's me and Roger Matthews. We have a new episode every week. So I've been doing that in my basement. I'm actually here in the podcast room as we speak. So, yeah, check us out.
How are you enjoying being on that side of the podcasting microphone? You enjoying the host seat a little bit?
I am. It's fun. It's with my buddy right now. We've had a couple guests, guys that I mostly train with or hang out with. So, we're just getting our feet wet, having fun with it, and see what we can make of it.
How far do you think this thing can go? Like, do you have are you just kind of winging it right now, or do you sort of have certain goals, aspirations, steps you want to take to make it even bigger?
Honestly, I'm just winging it right now, I guess. We're trying to stay consistent and just trying to have fun, make it fun. Because if it doesn't make money, at least I get to sit in my basement and bullshit with my buddies a couple nights a week.
Perfect way to look at it. Thanks again, Frankie. Stay healthy and safe. Hopefully we could do this again soon. Maybe before your bantamweight debut. I appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely. You got it, brother. Take care.
There it is. Frankie Edgar wrapping a bow on another episode of What the Heck on MMAfighting.com. Big thank you to Frankie and all the guests this week. I don't think I've laughed or smiled this much doing a show ever. I have to say I'm really having a blast doing the show and being a part of this team. As on the day that this episode is released, Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, it's been officially 1 month since I've joined the team at MMA Fighting, and I just couldn't be happier about that. And I know this website is held to a certain standard in the sport. It's a site that I've gone to daily for years and years and years, and I know I still have a lot of room to grow, but I hope I'm at least living up to somewhat your expectations anyways. I know it's you guys have some high ones, so hopefully if we're not there, we can get there. But make sure you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe wherever you're listening to the show in podcast form. It's totally free to do that. You get the shows immediately upon release. You can even get notified that they're released. So why make extra work for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen? Not only do you get the show, you get the A-Side live chat Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. These shows have been incredible. Special guests galore, fighters galore. It's just been a lot of fun. Of course, you got Eurobash every Tuesday with Pete Carroll and Niall McGrath. That's become one of my favorite listens of the week. Those two just bantering back and forth is phenomenal. Plus their guest list is really good as well. Plus all the other cool stuff we got going on, like the coffee talks, the news reactions, and we got some other things heading your way in a couple of weeks. So get ready for that. Just stay locked into MMAfighting.com for all that. So that's it for this week. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm done rambling. I am Mike Heck, and as always, have a heck of a week, everybody.
You're listening to the Vox Media Podcast Network.